Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hi, it's the Mike is Annoyed Show. How are you today? Welcome to episode 1670. I'm Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on earth. Today we don't poke fun at plumbers, no. Today we'll talk to Shelley Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer, and then poke fun at plumbers. Or perhaps Putins. Perhaps what the Helsinki?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
What the Helsinki? This is the Young Turks podcast. No, it's not the Young Turks podcast. I couldn't possibly be that liberal.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Holy moly, those guys. I don't know if you've ever listened to that show. It's got a guy on there with some kind of strange accent. I can't understand, don't you know? But that's his thing. It's America, and ain't that pink houses and stuff. You can talk however you want. You can be rough or gruff or muffins. Delicious muffins.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I saw a friend of mine yesterday, and you know what? I didn't ever realize this. My friend, whom I've known a long time,
Mike's
since high school,
Daily
looks a little like Billy Joel.
Podcast.
I never even noticed that.
Yeah!
And then I said, sing us a song, you're the piano man. You may be right. You may be crazy. I think he is. I love Billy Joel. And the fact that he kind of looks like him, maybe that's why we've been friends so long. But we finally connected. He lives up in northern California. And it was rather difficult to chase him down. It was sort of like trying to land a spaceship on a comet. Like that, what was that little thing called that flew around, that landed on that comet? That was, you can say the name now if you're smart. Look who walked in.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Shelley Shoehart, the gift shop supervisor. I don't know why we're talking about Russia today.
Because Trump is talking to Russia today.
I say it's better to get along with Russia than not.
Oh, okay, Mike Matthews.
Look who else is here. Oh, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Yes, Mike, the name of that satellite that landed upon the...
I'm now back to being an activist citizen and part of the resistance.
Oh, you got interrupted by Hillary Clinton, who says that she's going to maybe do something in the world of politics still, which to Democrats, I would say, I would raise my hand as a Democrat that kind of is not into Hillary doing anything anymore. She did it. We gave her as big a push as we could.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And it just didn't happen. So on to the next candidate, who maybe doesn't have as scary a past. You know, there were some things in her past that were just... She became a dartboard. Okay, so what's the dartboard now for the Supreme Court nominee, the Kavanaugh guy? Oh, let's see. He lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because he bought people baseball tickets to the baseball game, and they heard. So that's what they dig up on you. However, if you're Elon Musk, and you know he's got that little company called Tesla, to which Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark sang. He said the Thai cave rescue diver may end up suing Elon Musk for calling him a pedo in a tweet. Yes. Well, they went back and forth, and that's just not a fight that Elon Musk should have even engaged in. You know, a lot of the news I get from now is from my lovely lady friend, and I would just like to say that she's awesome. And we had a wonderful weekend. We enjoyed a wonderful time walking in Berkeley, at the Tilden, around the lake up there. Is it Lake Anza? Yes, in Berkeley. And we enjoyed a delicious dinner with a friend of mine I hadn't seen in a long time. Although, like I said, this friend of mine has got a very busy and erratic work schedule, and he does this job where he's working with a lot of moving parts, so he never is in one place at one time, and it was like so freaking difficult to meet up with him. And then we finally do. It ends up being a super late night for me. And I'll tell you this. People have no sympathy for the fact that I get up at 4 in the morning. I mentioned a couple times during the evening, and I do get up at 4 in the morning. Next thing I know, it's 10:30 at night. I'm going to bed at 11, so 5 hours sleep. Ta-da. Here is your Mike Matthews for today. So, a little bit of a ta-da music. Thank you. So, I guess my point is, be sympathetic to the people. And I've talked about this before. There are people that, hey, why don't you come over for a weeknight? We'll have a weeknight dinner. No, I can't do that. I get up early. Hey, how about you meet me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? How about that? Oh, I can't. I'm at work. Well, work with my schedule. I'll work with yours. That's all I'm saying. So Trump and Putin are meeting right now in Helsinki. He predicted that the countries would get along. The world wants us to see us get along. And he likes the words, get along, little doggy.
I say it's better to get along with Russia than not.
With a wink and a slouch, respectively, President Donald Trump. And, we have some audio here of a bunch of pictures. Aren't you getting tired of hearing all the shutters going off when they take pictures? And how come with all the technology that hasn't changed? Why is it like with pictures? There's Putin talking. With the fact that our phones can take pictures, why do we still need that damn shutter click? I'm so sick of the shutter click. Can we get rid of the shutter? That's all I'm saying. Get rid of the damn shutter. This doesn't even matter what he's saying because you can't hear it with all the. All I want to hear a drum beat. Boom, boom, boom. Girls on film. Girls on film. I want that song is what I want. I told the funny story of Simon Le Bon and of his wife. This story told by his wife on Behind the Music on VH1 several years back. And about the women that just throw themselves at Simon Le Bon. And this is a great way to fight that off if you're the wife of a rock star. She says whenever there's like groupies kind of really pushing themselves on Simon Le Bon, she comes over and she'll grab, let's say, kind of like the way Trump would grab a particular part of the human anatomy, only in this case on Simon Le Bon. And then she says to the groupies, these are mine. Run along. I own these. This is mine. Go, move, just go away. And then they do. And Simon Le Bon is like, Or maybe perhaps he says, oh, my. I don't know. But the point is, the world wants to see us get along. We have not been getting along well for the last number of years, he said, but I think we will end up having an extraordinary relationship. I really think the world wants to see us get along. See, that's all he said was get along about 50 times. Little doggy. I wanted to tell you that I'm a huge fan of Tim Gunn. Who is Tim Gunn? He's the guy from Project Runway. Now, Project Runway is a show that I will not ever watch again because it's a reality TV show, and like many reality TV shows, it's all formula. And here's a little bit of Tim Gunn, if you didn't know.
It's connective tissue to another person or people, and I want to cut the connective tissue. I am so lucky to have so much in my life, and I have a lot of stuff on my plate.
That's Tim Gunn. Tim Gunn told this story, and this isn't here that I can see on YouTube, but he was on the Commonwealth Club's interview. This was a couple of years back. And his father worked for the FBI with a last name like Gunn. You would probably expect that. And he said that when he was a kid, they were going to go... Is it Joe McCarthy that was the guy that was the head of the FBI that supposedly liked to dress in women's clothes? And so his father said, hey, go down the hall and say hi to McCarthy down the hall. So they go, and he does, and he comes back and he says to his dad, there was nobody in there, but his wife was in there. And he goes, what? He doesn't have a wife. So was Tim actually saying hi to Joe McCarthy in drag? Would he have actually worn that to work? These questions and more will be unanswered on today's Mike's Daily Podcast. By the way, that Portland picture that I posted on Friday, lots of plosives in that sentence, was the wrong date. It wasn't from 2003. It was from 2013. Just to correct that. Some errata there for you. Some erotic errata. Well, Hachi-machi.
Hachi-machi.
Uber, back to cars and Tesla girls and all that. Uber is laying off people, lots of people, and they are stopping the self-driving cars, and I think it was Albuquerque. Here's the thing. Uber, I don't know if Uber's going to last, if it's going to beat out Lyft. I have so many problems with Uber. I have problems with the CEO being a sexist pig. I have problems with the way that Uber does their thing where they boost the prices when it's busy. And although my lovely lady friend has driven for Uber and she's made some money when they do that, but still, I don't know if you really can make a bunch doing Uber. I would prefer to do Lyft. I have never paid out of my own pocket either of those services. I have not gotten the app on my phone. I'm very anti putting apps on my phone because they take up space. And, oh, Mike, I've got so much space on my phone. You would goody do hoo hoo woo woo for you. I do not. And I think I take it as a cautionary tale for the amount of space that is on my phone. I don't want a bunch of crap on my phone. And they have proven that many of those apps take your information. I am very selective with what apps I put on my phone. I get very upset when people say, hey, go ahead and put this app on your phone. It'll help you with figuring out what to wear in the morning. I know exactly what to wear every morning. I wear the same shirt. And written on this shirt, it says, help this poor man, he's lost. Return him to this address, Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcaster Valley.
Anyway.
Cafe Anyways. We leave Cafe Anyway right now. Not going to be the longest show today, I have to confess. There's just a bunch of stuff going on today, and I can't be more specific. I will say, though, at my job, I was trying to enjoy some chicken at my lunch. And I get here at 5 in the morning, and then I eat my lunch at noon, like you do. But... And then around noon, now we're coming up on the end of my job, my shift, because I've almost worked 8 hours. That math works out. Don't try and look too far into it. And so I'm eating my chicken, and this guy walks into the break room, and he goes, "That chicken stinks!" And the big question is, who asked you? Go, why? And I've noticed this guy doesn't eat lunch anymore. He doesn't go out to eat. And I never see him eat for lunch, so I don't know what's happening there. But, keep your opinions to yourself. The thing is, no one does in the break room. Everybody's, oh, look what you're eating. Oh, look what you're eating. I'm heating up some chicken, and I'm eating it with a whole bunch of vegetables. It's a little bit of chicken and a bunch of, green beans and squash and cauliflower, broccoli. I'm eating all kinds of vegetables with it, because that's how you gotta be. And he's making a comment about that. So, it just drives me nuts. And then another person gave me grief that I was leaving, around 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What, you're leaving now? Yeah, I've been here since 5. And by the way, I've been coming in at 5 a.m. every weekday morning for the past 2.5 years, so you can just be very, very quiet and blow it out your... That's all I have to say. So thank you for listening to today's show. Next show will be a little bit longer, possibly, or shorter, depending on how life is. But enjoy your week. Hope it's a great Monday. I have to say that big shout out to Albert, who I got to see my lovely lady friend finally got to meet the wonderful Albert. I posted a picture of his Chihuahua before, Lola, and it was sort of an impromptu invite over to his place, and got to talk to his lovely wife Zita, and got to see Albert at 77 years old cut a frickin' rug. This dude can dance. He's showing me the Cupid Shuffle. Very impressive. So have a wonderful Cupid Shuffle through your day. Thanks for listening to Mike's Daily Podcast. Next at Mike's Daily Podcast, Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!
I didn't say the podcast picture, but first, let me just say that I got called out. I didn't realize this till after I recorded the podcast just now, that I got called out by a particular person who does the schedule for the weekend job that I do. He apparently, and this is a nice little bonus at the end of the show, I hope you enjoy this, he attached to an email that he sent out to all the part-timers the little thing that I said on my podcast about how he's too busy to make the schedule and he doesn't put me on the schedule, which he doesn't. He did not put me on the schedule for several weekends in a row last month, to which our boss got upset with him and said, "Why don't you ever put Mike on the schedule? He's needed because he puts promos and spots together and commercials." That's what that is, commercials or spots. So he heard that. Apparently he listens to the podcast, which blows my mind because I know he's a busy guy. But apparently in an email that he subjected Mike is, Mike, I'm not too busy to do the schedule. He attached this little clip of me, which I'll play that for you next podcast. I can't do it right now. I'm just about doing this little addendum is taking too much time as it is. But the podcast picture, which I forgot to mention, is Tilden Park in the Lake Anza area. And, there's a little place called the Brazilian Room in this particular part of Berkeley. I'm talking about Berkeley. And we were on the Selba Trail. And this was a beautiful little spot with all these trees. And my lovely lady friend said, "This looks just like a fairy tale. This little section with the trees, not the cheese, but the delicious cheese, glorious cheese. The trees just kind of all wrapped around and spinning and twining and twinning and doing all that fun stuff." So you can see that picture now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. I'm never too busy to respond to your emails or your comments. MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. You can find the email there. And there's even a phone number you can call me too at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And check out the picture there as well. Thanks for listening to Mike's Daily Podcast.